This is so bullish on Bitcoin. Talk more about this later in the video. Bouncing off key support, possible bull flag now on Bitcoin. Told you to be watching this level. Do we break it and get a breakdown, or do buyers come back in right here? Buyers came in at 60,000 after a significant drop there. On Friday, buyers came in at support. I'll be talking about these levels. Bullish signals soon be happening, but we are seeing bullish bounce off of key support and a possible bull flag pattern forming on Bitcoin. I'll talk more about this in the video. Tell you why I closed my short position and why I am long on Bitcoin at this 60,000 level of support, which we've been talking about in the last several updates. I want to show you what I was watching at that support level, and I told you that's the support level in the last several updates that we were going to be watching. Well, what took us down to it was Israel's strike on Iran. We saw the volatility, Bitcoin dropped, the stock market dropped, but they did the same thing. They hovered at the lows for just a little while, but then they began to recover at key support, the levels that we've been talking about, the 60,000 range. We breached it. We went down into the 59,000 area here, into about the mid 59,000 level or so, but then we rebounded back up and we got back above 60,000 and again hovered there for just a little while, but then began to move off of those lows. So again, in my mind, bounce off of this level right here, you're going to get an attempted recovery. That's what I'll be talking about in this video. We came down to the 61,000 area, dropped and found our lows at the 60,000 range, and then that broke and we went deeper into the 60,000 lows, the low range of the 60,000, and then we broke it. We went down into the 59,000, mid 59,000 area, and then we attempted that rebound back up. Once there was a realization, was a limited attack. And let me just say this, Israel, by doing that, likely de-escalated the situation, and that issue is likely resolved now. Conflict, there's still going to be tensions, but concerns about a regional war, World War III, and I told you I didn't think those things were going to happen. Israel did respond, penetrating the Iranian airspace strike. Iran is not going to respond, saying they're not going to respond. They immediately reopened their airspace and the airports and so forth right after. Again, sometimes these geopolitical issues move markets. Is likely now issues now likely resolved. We're going to be looking towards the Fed, and we could rally going into the Fed meeting May 1st. The stock market and with Bitcoin having both gotten oversold, Bitcoin down 19%, Nasdaq's down 8%, S&P's down 6%. Bitcoin's trying to rebound off of that 19% lows. This is what I was watching on Friday, and again, we had this V-shaped recovery, dipped below 59,000 and jumped right back up into the 60,000 range. And so again, in my mind, that's a bullish event off of key support, watching to see if tensions in the Middle East was going to break this level or not, and we didn't. We bounced off of it. So that's right where the rainbow cloud is, as well as I've talked about, and I'll show you in the video. I think that this is a bullish event right here at horizontal support, dipping below 60,000 and then rebounding back above it, and eventually moving off of the 60,000 area and rebounding. Stock market and Bitcoin had jitters surrounding the tensions in the Middle East. That is now resolved. I think it has been. I think Israel de-escalated. They de-escalated the situation, doing a limited strike. Markets could now focus on the Fed. The stock market could focus on earnings. Again, the stock market's becoming very oversold. It's possible that we attempt to rebound, and if we do rebound in the market, we could get a rebound with Bitcoin going into the Fed meeting. We'll be watching. Do we get a legitimate breakout above 69,000, stay above it, never look back, or do we get a topping process? And I'll be talking about both of those scenarios in this video. Okay, I told you I was watching the support level, and again, we're looking for either a lower high and a lower low, or for a reversal, or a bounce here off of the rainbow cloud in the weekly time frame, off of horizontal support. We bounced off the horizontal support level here. Markets become very oversold now. S&P's down 6%, nearly 6%. Nasdaq's down over 8%. think the stock market's going to try to rebound. I think the S&P is going to try to rebound off of the 20-week moving average. I talked about that in my video on the stock market. I think that that's likely going to be the case. I think Bitcoin is now probably going to bounce here. So again, I think the signals, while they're still bearish, again, I think that we're going to get a bounce here in all likelihood. Now, if we break this level, then we can get a drop. But again, I'm just trying to swing trade this. We are going sideways. Again, rising back up. I told you we were going to likely turn at that 72, 73,000 area. I went short at that area. That played out. We dropped nearly 18%. I was looking for possible lower high, lower low, or the breakout here to give us a move higher. The breakout failed. We had a breakdown, but support, our rectangle horizontal support range is holding on Bitcoin. So the failed breakout failed, but the breakdown is now not out, and we're seeing a bounce at the support zone. So we didn't get the lower high and the lower low based on a closing basis. We've slightly reached this level right here, and we went down to 19%, dropping 19%. We couldn't close below the support zone, and we rallied back up. Do you see what I'm talking about? The support zone, the level where we bounced. I've been talking about this in my last several updates. This area right here, this area of support, 60,000 on the weekly chart, which is our rainbow cloud. So I think you're going to bounce on Bitcoin now. Watching this closely yesterday, we couldn't break it. So again, I was looking for the 60,000 area. Below it, moved to the 59,000 area, and buyers came back in. So I closed out my short position and went long. Signals are still bearish. Long position doesn't play out, and we start going down. Taking out these lows, I'll flip back to bearish. We may test this level. I think you've got a pretty good shot that this level is going to hold. And if it can hold and we can flip back up and move above this level here, this 68,000 area, under 69,000 area right here, which is the apex of the triangle that we previously broke down from, got a shot at testing the resistance zone, which is the peak over here from the failed breakout and the peak over here at the all-time high right there. That is resistance. Again, playing short-term moves for either a breakout to bigger and higher levels or a reversal breakdown out of the trading range. But we're going sideways. So again, the bears are up here. Okay, the bears are up here and the bulls are down here. The bulls are down here. I think you're going to bounce, and then we'll see, can we break above the levels here, break above the moving averages. The 10 and 20 have gotten the bearish cross. It may be we get another lower high, but if signals can begin to all flip back to bullish, you can get above the moving averages. Again, you might try to make a new higher high. The moving averages, look at the 10 and 20. You're crisscrossing back and forth. You're going from bullish to bearish. Look at the cloud. Same thing. Bullish to bearish, back to bullish. Okay, they got a bullish cross, back to bearish. And look at the cloud. Green, red, green, red, green, red. You're going sideways. So again, it just makes sense. I'm going to bounce here. And again, so I've closed out my short position. We've dropped 19%. I caught most of that move. Now I'm trying to long here at the 60,000 area. Play the support. We tried to break 60,000, went to the 59,000 area, and it didn't play out. We popped right back above 60,000. I think that's a signal to close short positions and go long, and that's what I've done. I'm playing the 60,000 area. So far, it's playing out now. Again, we're going sideways, and we've been going sideways for weeks and weeks and weeks here on Bitcoin. I think this is what, week 7 or 8 or something like that. It's been going sideways since early March. Okay, we've been going sideways here, and now we're bouncing. So I'll be watching. If the signals begin to turn back to bullish, then we can get the momentum, and then we can try to challenge this high. And again, there's still a strong possibility that that happens. As I've said, we see signals flip back to bullish. I do think problems, there are signals that are suggesting a topping process, but the topping process can still take us to new highs, as I've said. Rather than moving and confirming a bull market, we might be forming a top. But again, we're just going sideways trading. So again, the bulls are down here and the bears are up here. And right now, the bulls giving us the bounce. We're currently stalling at the 10 period. If we can get above the 10 period and hold above it, you can get a bigger move higher. But the moving averages are crisscrossing back and forth. Over here, we got above the 10 and 20. We got above them over here. We drop below them over here. We drop below it over here. We drop below it over here. If we get back above the 10 and 20, then you got a shot setting up another lower high or staying in the trading range, going back up to the upper end of the trading range, or breaking out of the trading range to a new high. So I think things are back to as far as support is concerned. But again, you can see here that signals here still on a sell signal, but at a significant drop again of 19% now. You're going to try to get a bounce. I think the stock market is going to try to get a bounce, and close my short at the 60,000 area, catching most of that move, and now I'm long. And again, this is just a short-term trade for me. Break this level, I'll go back to short if this level is taken out and get stopped out on my long position. If my long position plays out, then again, looking ride that higher, and then I'll be watching. Do we get another lower high in this trading range? Does this high hold, or do we try to break out of this trading range? So that's why I'm playing it. Again, we're just going sideways. It just makes sense because, again, odds favor because we couldn't take this level up. The odds favor, we're going to try to get a rebound here. It makes sense to lock in gains. That's why I was watching this level so closely. On Friday, I was watching to see if we get a bigger sell-off. We started to, and then it didn't play out. Buyers came in up below 60,000 into the 59,000 level, and buyers came back in and pushed it right back up into the 60,000 level. So it just makes sense to me that we're going to get a bounce here. Market is oversold. We can get a bounce on it as well, and they have a positive correlation. The stock market has a positive correlation with Bitcoin, but horizontal support holding on Bitcoin, the support zone holding on Bitcoin, and watching to see what happens with this 10 period here. Here it is over the weekend. On Saturday, we're trying to get above it, but again, we'll see what happens going into next week, and by the end of the weekend, go higher. Then we'll be looking at these levels up here, and if those turn bullish, then again, do we get a lower high or do we get a higher high? Higher high, I'll be watching that 73,800 area, just below 73,800. Here, look at the daily chart of Bitcoin. Momentum is still bearish. Now, again, this is just a support play for me as I was playing some of those divergences that had formed at the 73,000 area. So again, momentum is still negative. That has to change if we're going to go higher. Balance of power is still negative. So again, this is just simply a support play. It makes sense that we bounce here. I said, if we turn back down, then I'm going to get stopped out here. I'll flip back to a bearish trade, a bearish position. But right here, again, it makes sense to me that we're going to try to bounce here. Being below 60,000, not being able to stay below it. We got right back above 60,000. So I said, that's it. I think we're going to try to get a bigger bounce here. And the stock market got very oversold. So I think it's going to also try a bigger bounce. Bitcoin's trying to bounce off horizontal support. Could see NASDAQ or S&P try to bounce off the 20-week moving average, filling its gap. So again, signals are momentum here, still bearish. If that changes, we can get a bigger move up. If we drop back down, again, abandon ship and go back to short. Here, I'm trying to play the support level and go long. We're just going sideways. And again, we've been going sideways here since March. We've just been going sideways, and you can clearly see that. The other thing is that we couldn't close below these lows right here. We couldn't do it. Look at that. Again, for the lower high and the lower low, you went lower, but you bounced off support, and you couldn't close below these lows. So again, it makes sense to me. We're going to try to get a bigger rebound with Bitcoin. Now, maybe we get another lower high. Maybe we stay in this trading range, but it's possible we try to get the move to a higher high. I've talked about in the weekly time frame how you've gotten the higher high at the two peaks in 21. We could see that happen here. So again, it's a line in the sand in my mind. You break it, I go back to short. We bounce here, I remain long at the 60,000 area. I want to make it clear, my signals are still bearish. Momentum is still bearish here, and you can clearly see that as we're in this sideways trading range, going back and forth from green to red. And again, rainbow clouds still bearish. But if we can, and even the momentum line still bearish, but we're getting above it now. We've rebounded back up off the 60,000 area, and the swing trend line still bearish as well. So the signals are still bearish, but if we can recover, then maybe these signals begin to turn back to bullish. So again, if signals remain bearish, I could easily be stopped out of my long position and then have to flip the trade back to short. But I think that, again, the bulls have come in down here, the bears have come in up here, and I think you're going to try to get a bigger bounce here off the 60,000 area. And again, I was watching the rainbow cloud, and I've continued to point this out to you over and over again. Again, when we drop below the rainbow cloud over here, again, you remain below it. When you got back above it, it's acted as support over and over and over. Even when we went sideways, it acted as support. Sideways here, you had a 21.5% sell-off. You still found support there. Here we've had this almost 18% sell-off. Rainbow cloud acted as support. Here we've sold off 19% now. Rainbow cloud acted as support. Okay, here in the weekly time frame, the weekly signals are still bullish. And I talked about this in my last couple of updates. Are we going to bounce off the rainbow cloud and go up and make a higher high like we did over here and over here, where we went and made a higher high? Or are we going to break this level and validate a lower high, lower low? So I was watching this level very closely there on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday, we started to get the sell-off. I was watching it, and it just didn't play out. So again, speculating that we bounce now off of the rainbow cloud. I'm speculating we bounce off horizontal support. We can remain in the trading range, but again, like I said, it could be we go up and get a higher high and then have this thing fail, or you can get a real breakout for a new bull market if we can go above 69,000, stay above it, never drop back below it. Or we've had 3 attempts to do it, and every single attempt has failed. So again, it could be that we are setting up a larger topping process. And the top could look something like this. If in fact a top is forming right now, it could look something like this or something like this, where we have a peak, we turn down, we go higher, have a peak, turn down, go higher, have a peak, turn down, go higher. It's dragging out. It's been dragging out really for 7 or 8 weeks right here. This area, when we first moved into it, if we include that bar, this is 8 weeks. If we just start from that bar, it's 7 weeks. But we've been going sideways for 7 or 8 weeks here. Now, next week will be 9. Do we get one more push higher, or do we get a legitimate breakout? But we certainly clearly did not break down. We bounced. Buyers were there. Do you see the bottoming tail? Shorts were closing, and the dip crowd came in right there at that level of support. And again, the rainbow cloud continues to call the tops and bottoms, showing support and resistance over and over. So I told you, again, if we're going to go lower, we got to break 60,000. We got to break the critical mass line here coming in the 57,000 range, and we're not doing that. We're bouncing off horizontal support. We're bouncing off the rainbow cloud. See, when we broke 60,000, we just came right down to that lower end. I was watching it closely. There on Friday, we broke 60,000, went to 59,000, and right back up to 60,000. I'm trying, closing my short there at that 60,000 area and trying along there, because when we broke 60,000, it did not play out. So I'm long, start breaking the rainbow cloud, we start breaking the horizontal support, I'll go back to short, we start turning down, I'll get stopped out on my long. If we go higher, then I'll ride it higher. We end up getting a topping process with a new high. We just may go a few $1,000s above this level at 73,800 like we did over here, and like we did over here. We just went a few $1,000s above those highs, but we did make a new high. So again, I'm watching, as I've been saying, to see, do we have a topping process like we did over here and here, and a bottoming process here, but we got a higher low? Do we have a topping process, or do we get a legitimate breakout? Real problems for Bitcoin, like the recent strength with the dollar. Things I've been showing you that are suggesting a top is forming, but right now, look, we're going sideways. So I'm just going to trade it sideways until we make, a decisive move. If we're going to go higher, great, we get a confirmed breakout, new bull market. We get a reversal, break the rainbow cloud, below critical mass right here. Then again, we'll get the short, take Bitcoin back down and reverse like what we did over here. Went up to the rainbow cloud, got rejection, bigger drop, rainbow cloud, rejection. All the while, critical mass is staying red all the way down. Once we broke it, it remained red. So again, the rainbow cloud, a critical mass, really define the trend here in the weekly time frame. But I'm telling you, I told you what was needed to happen to go lower, and it ain't happening. I told you we can get a bounce, get a legitimate breakout in a new bull market, or a topping process right here. Still may go back and test the lows this weekend or early next week, but as long as we don't take out the low from this week at the rainbow cloud here, horizontal support, Bitcoin can try to recover. Let me show you a few other signals. In the sideways trading range, we are forming a possible bull flag pattern. We are going sideways. And again, the support zone, we're bouncing off of it. We couldn't confirm a close below this level. As you can clearly see here, we bounced off the support zone, bounced off rainbow cloud, horizontal support. But we also have a possible bull flag. A flag, if we connect the high here, exclude the shadow with our false breakout of the triangle could be evolving now into a bull flag. And if you take the low over here, excluding the shadow, and we come down to the low end of the support zone with these shadows here, we've hit it, and you've got the potential bull flag that could break out to the upside. And if we break out to the upside, again, we could very well, a topping process like we did back in 2021, the two tops there, or if you're going to get a legitimate breakout, you've got to hold above 69,000, which is this dotted red line right here. You got to get above 69,000. And we've had 3 failed attempts. 1, 2, and then 3. 3 strikes, you're out. If we can get above it, you might try a 4th. You've got to break above it, hold above it, never close back below it again. That's what's happened in the past with Bitcoin breakouts to new highs. They have broken out and just kept going. Here, we're failing. So again, it could be a topping process. If we can get above this level, hold above it, then that's going to be bullish. If we come back up here and stall at that level or at this trend line and turn down and get a lower high, then again, you're still in this trading range, but you've got a potential bull flag here that I wanted to show you with coming down and hitting this level. And I was watching to see if we would bounce here and try to, from a triangle pattern to a bull flag pattern here. And again, this pattern increases the odds of an upward resolution for Bitcoin. For a legitimate breakout, new bull market, or a topping process. And again, our warning signs that a topping process is under construction, and we could see the same thing happen with the S&P 500. We're seeing the same, and NASDAQ, we're seeing the same warning signs in their weekly and monthly time frames. Doesn't mean we can't move to a new high with Bitcoin. I told you there are problems with continuing onward and upward here. So again, we're going sideways. Traders market right here, just going back and forth, back and forth. The bears are up here, the bulls are down here, and we are going sideways. Again, momentum signals and some of the trending signals are bearish. We've just been going sideways, back and forth. But another reason why I think we're going to go higher is here in the 4-hour time frame. Again, you can see here we're in the trading range. Sellers have come in up here, okay? The buyers have come in down here. Now here I have the 50-period moving average in the 4-hour time frame. We've dropped below it. We've held below it. The 50 dropped below the 200. Talking about the 4-hour chart and how we've seen the pring parameter go negative. Now the pring parameter is getting a bullish cross, and we're now getting above the 50-period as we bounced off of horizontal support. Now momentum in the 4-hour time frame is turning back to bullish, triggering a buy signal. We're trying to climb above that 50-period moving average. 50-period is not recycling back up yet. It's still red pointing down, but we could begin to build upon this. We're back above the 50-period moving average, the 4-hour time frame. When we've done that over here, over here we were bouncing off of it and holding above it. We were going higher. Here we got back above it after this decline. And we tried to bounce, got a lower high, dropped back below it, came back up, had a false breakout, got back above it, and then dropped back below it. Bearish things happened here, bearish things happened here, bullish things happened here, bullish things happened here, and bullish things happened back over here. So if we can get above this level, and this buy signal plays out, and our bounce off of support, then we can go back up to the upper boundary of the trading range, which is our now resistance zone with our failed breakout. And then we'll see, do we get a lower high, or do we break out above this level. Again, we're going in a sideways trading range. My trading signals showing that we bounced off horizontal support, we bounced off the rainbow cloud, and now we're seeing attempt to get back above the 50-period moving average and an attempt to turn short-term trading signals back to bullish. So I think you're going to rally further. I think Bitcoin's going to go back up and test the resistance zone, and it may break above it. Again, I'm seeing a bounce or a failed break below 60,000. 60,000, we rebounded, and now we've come back up, still below 69,000, but we've rebounded back up here to just above the 50 period in the 4-hour time frame. So again, I think you're going to get a bigger rally, and that's why I'm long on Bitcoin. We're trying to bounce off support. And this is what I've been talking about last updates, talking about, do we break support or do we bounce off of it? Do we rise back up and make new highs? New bull market, a topping process, break that level and get a lower high, a lower low, dropping below the 100-period moving average in the daily time frame. I've talked about these levels at great length of detail. We're trying to bounce right now. So I've closed my short position at the 60,000 area as we've tried to bounce off support. I'm now long. If we break that level, I'll go back to short. If we bounce off this level, I'll ride it higher. We're going sideways on Bitcoin. Again, I talked about that a divergence was forming in the 4-hour time frame, and I was watching to see, would that give us a traction to bounce off at this level, or give us a bounce and then we come back and break it, or a bounce that, again, gives us the next rebound back up to test the highs. Again, we're getting above the 50-period moving average, but here, a few days ago, we hit this 59,000 area. We formed this bullish divergence right here, and we bounced. And then I was watching to see if we get further volatility and a breakdown with tensions in the Middle East, hawkish Fed, and watching to see what would happen, or try to find a bottom at this 60,000 area. So I kept watching. That was a couple of days ago. And then on Friday, we came down and we moved slightly lower than that low. And again, you've got now a triple bullish divergence, hitting that level. And then we rebounded. We actually broke the trend line. It was all happening during the volatility surrounding the strike on Iran. And the stock market did the same thing. It came down and then it rebounded back up. And I was watching this level closely. Tensions, were we going to bounce or were we going to break down? And again, we came right down to break 59,000, break the 60,000 level into 59,000, and rebounded right back up into 60,000 once again. This is the 4-hour time frame, so showing again buyers coming in right there in the daily time frame. Ended up with the bottoming tail, rebounding Friday's close. So again, just the signals that I've been watching here, watching to see if we break or bounce here, and we're getting the bounce with the bullish divergence, and then again hit it again with the triple bullish divergence. We bounced a few days ago off of this level here. Right after that, we started to flatten out a little bit with parameters, started going sideways a little bit, and then now with this level here, started curling up, and then eventually with the rebound back up there on Friday on into Saturday. Now we're trying to get this bullish cross there on Friday, which is continuing today here on Saturday. So again, you've got your cloud of resistance here. We're above the 50 though. Again, the 50 is below the 200. Parameters negative. If they can recycle back up, if a parameter can recycle back up, if price can recycle back up and get above the 200 at 67,000, then just below 67,000, then you can get a bigger rebound, and a possible bull flag is in play, as I showed you earlier in this video. Short-term bullish things at the 69,000 area, not being able to break 59,000, seeing parameters start to go flatline when we hit it the first time, and then on Friday it started to curl back up there a little bit as buyers came in at the 59, 60,000, 61,000 range or so. That area at the lows, it started to turn back up. The signal line parameter started turning back up towards the signal line, I should say. But you got to be able to get back above that 200 period. You've got to get back above it. Parameters got to go in positive territory if we're going to go break to new highs. So again, off support, rejection at these levels, and start breaking, the 59, 60,000 area, then again, turn back to bearish. But right now, I think we're going to bounce. Signals I'm seeing suggesting we're going to bounce, but the longer term signals suggesting there's some problems here. Bitcoin's got to prove itself and hold above, get above 69,000, hold above it, not drop back below it. It's going to move into a real bull market, as you're likely going to form a topping process here, which I think is more likely than what we're seeing with the recent dollar breakout. Given what we're seeing, some of my other signals that are suggesting a topping process is forming. We're going sideways, so I'm trading it, and to close my short, went long. We'll see what happens. If we break down, I get stopped out, I'll go back to short. Again, let me be clear, momentum signals are still bearish. Trending signals are mixed. Some of them are bearish, like here. We broke the green line there for the trend. In the cloud, again, still on a sell signal on many, many indicators. We're breaking into negative territory here, but bouncing off support. So again, bulls and bears fight it out for the direction. We currently are bouncing off support with Bitcoin. And again, we're going sideways. We're flatlined right here. You can clearly see that. Sellers are up here. The buyers are down here as we're in this trading range. So again, do we break up? Do we break down? Right now, we're trying to bounce. So again, if we break down, I'll get very bearish and I'll short. If we bounce here, I'm going to try to ride it higher for a lower high, or again, a higher high, a legitimate breakout, or a topping process that looks something like that. So again, signals are telling us we're going sideways. We'll be looking for a resolution, but we could be evolving now into a bull flag pattern if we exclude some of the shadows up above and include some of them down here at the lows, as I've talked about. Again, 60,000, line in the sand. Bounce, that's bullish. You break, that's bearish. And that's really what it comes down to.